Eclectic Soul Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Eclectic Soul Podcast. I am Jen, this is Jen.
Hello, everybody.
And this is the first new episode in the new direction,
Yay!
a more focused direction that we are going to be exploring.
What is this new direction?
We're going to be working with Divination.
Woo!
So it could be stones, it could be tarot cards, it could be oracle cards, it could be scrying. Also bringing in spirituality and psychology into the mix. So
it's primarily going to be cards mostly, though, because
yes.
For anyone who doesn't know, a Jinn mostly reads
Oracle,
and I am a professional tarot reader, and I read a lot of other things as well. So.
And a teacher.
Yeah, and a teacher. So that's primarily what we're going to be focusing on, but we will add in other forms as well. And, you know, we're always learning new things, too. And we'll probably introduce those types of divination in as well.
Yeah, and I do scry, and I do have runes, and I do use tarot cards sometimes, but my prefer is oracle cards. I do channel. We all need guidance sometimes when we can't ourselves find that clarity. The divination gives you clarity. It helps focus on the question at hand. The best thing to do is make sure you're asking the right question. Yeah, because I can't read for myself. I have to have others read for me. It's extremely difficult.
But that's a common thing.
Yeah.
It is a common thing. Because it's hard to be objective. Because you're going to look at the cards and see what you want to see.
Right.
And it also depends on what you're doing the reading about. I find that if you're wanting to know about how something is going to play out in the future, or you know what I mean, stuff where it's more like future-based things,
right,
I recommend not doing the readings yourself, because you're just going to do that whole self-fulfilling prophecy thing.
Yes, exactly.
But if you focus on yourself and it be more of like, what should I do, or how can I improve, things that are more like self, which is what we're going to be talking about today, that is definitely something that you can do on your own.
Like, how's my day gonna go? You know, what should I focus on today?
Right. Or what advice can you give me about this particular topic? Or how can I grow as a person?
Right.
Or, yeah.
And there's some other cards that are out there that a lot of people don't know a lot about. With the oracle cards, they also have affirmation cards. And they have daily quote cards, and that is also a form of oracle, but they are cards that you can draw a day. Like, I know someone who has a giant fish bowl, and I'm not talking about a fish tank. They actually have a giant fish bowl. It's a round circular bowl, and they throw in a month's worth of cards, and they pull one out a day and they stick it back in the box, and that's their affirmation for the day, and they run with that for the day, because it can be a generic, but it can also resonate. It can be generic enough for everyone to get something out of it, but it can find those where it resonates with someone, and it gives you that boost. That is, oh, okay. So, like, if you know you've had something on your mind to do with a job, and you were worried about say a report you needed to get done, and an affirmation card was pulled and you came across it on Instagram or on a Facebook account, and it says, today is the day that you will focus and you will get done whatever it is you need to obtain today. That would be like the best card for you to read, because it will empower you to go and sit down, do your work, and boom, you're done. And you've beat the deadline because you had that encouragement. You've had that spark. But anyway, so Is there a question that we might want to work with, or is there something you want to start off with? Or?
So, the focus. I mean, we talked a little bit about this in the little trailer when we introduced the new focus that we were going to be going down.
Right.
But I think what we're trying to do going forward is, there are people out there of all different, stages of divination, whether they're just dabbling or whether they're really into it, or,
right.
Maybe you only read Oracle or you only read Tarot, or, you can't read for other people and you just read for yourself, whatever the case may be. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to take different forms of divination and do things a little bit differently with them instead of just like the basic you have a question, I'm going to answer this question, what does the future hold for me, which is like the standard question no matter what type of divination that you're doing. And we want to focus on spirituality, and we want to focus on psychology, and so we want to take those topics and we want to use divination, obviously primarily it's going to be cards, and explore those things, and we want you as a person to learn something from that. We want you to, no matter what your level is, that hopefully you gain something new out of it, something that you didn't know before that you want to try on your own.
Right.
And then obviously, you can always reach out to us if you need help or something like that. But I think that's kind of our goal going forward. The topic for today is using oracle cards to do some self-discovery and how to, because I think oracle cards are the best when it comes to questions about yourself, personal growth questions, like how can I better myself? Not really the future, not like, is my boyfriend going to leave me or am I going to get money or anything like that. It's how am I going to change myself? What can I do to better my life so that good things are coming to me.
Yep.
And that's the topic of today. So I think it's just, I'm going to go into this episode with just kind of sharing my knowledge of how I would go about doing something like that for a client. Mm-hmm. And then I guess whatever you want to share. I mean, you use oracle cards more than I do, so you might have a specific thing that you do. Mm-hmm. And I think just us sharing that and kind of showing people how that they can explore and use the cards, and just maybe give them some tips on how we go about doing that in real life, like if we were reading for somebody.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. Do you want to start talking about which cards we picked for this?
Sure. Why don't you start with yours, since you're going to do the reading first?
Okay, I am.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
She didn't know this.
No, I didn't. So I picked The Magic of You Oracle, and it's by Fiona Horn. And it is a oracle deck that's specifically designed for personal growth, to focus on you. And that's why I decided to use this one. And which one's yours?
I picked a deck called Sacred Rebels Oracle. And it's by Alana Fairchild, which I actually love a lot of her decks. I have several of them. And this is guidance for living a unique and authentic life. So it does base it on you as either the reader, if you're reading for yourself, or the client that you want to read for, or the friend that you want to read for. Mm-hmm. So
I don't typically use Oracle a lot. So when I do Oracle readings for clients, on my website, I only offer self-reflection readings when I use oracles, because that to me is like, that's what they're really, really good at. So typically what I do is I like to make up spreads on the fly for Oracle specifically. Mostly just because I find that because it's about self-discovery, it's a very personal thing. So usually when people come to me, there's something very specific that they want to work on about themselves. So we'll say like, maybe you have a lack of confidence or something, okay, and you want to be more confident. So the focus of the reading would be on confidence. And I would figure out, okay, maybe I'll pull 3 cards, maybe I'll pull 5 cards. I typically don't pull a lot of cards for Oracle because, one, they're huge.
Yes.
And you have no room to put them out.
Right.
And I don't know, I just find that with Oracle, there's a lot going on in the card that you can focus on that you don't really need a lot of cards. Like with other kinds of card reading,
Right.
you need other cards in order for it to have meaning, like, like pairs and
Right.
these two cards together mean this and da da da.
Right.
With Oracle, you don't really have to. I mean, you can, but you don't really have to. Combine the cards together, and it's like, okay, this card's here and this card's here, so this means this. The cards kind of speak on their own, so you
Correct.
don't really need a lot of cards. If you really have no clue, which is a really common thing, is people really have no idea what kind of spread to do. The best thing to do is just to lay out 3 or 5 cards and not really have a specific question, because if your question is basically something focused on the self, if it's confidence, let's say, that is the question, and all the cards that you lay out are going to be related to that question. If you are going to lay a spread out, a common one is, leading into the future. So like, past, present, future,
Right.
or if you had 5 cards, it's kind of the same thing, These cards are more your past and then your present, and so as you're further going along, da-da-da. And the other thing that you can do as well is to just kind of give each one maybe a theme or something. Something fun that you can do is kind of think about what the question is that you're asking. Like, is it a how-to question, or is it a advice question, or something like that? And take the letters of that question. So, like, for example, if it's a how-to question, you could say how, right? And lay 3 cards out, and each card will represent something that's H, something that's O, and something that's W. And then what you would think of is like a word that represents, like W could be like when something would happen, because it starts with a W, right?
Right.
Or H, so you would think of something that starts with an H. So these are just examples. You could be really, really creative, but again, you don't need to do any of that.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you what a random, I have no idea what I'm doing. We're just going to lay it out. I'll focus on confidence as an example for mine. Okay, so this would be somebody, if I'm reading for a client and they're very insecure and they are trying to get over something and they need more confidence. What they need to do in order to gain more confidence. Okay, so I will do some shuffling.
Okay.
And then whenever I shuffle cards, I really try to focus on what I'm doing. I try not to be too distracted. If I'm just thinking confidence, if that's all you really need, you just need a focus, something to make it so that you're not thinking about.
And if you do, what I do when I get distracted and I'm thinking about that, I will go ahead and take a breath and blow away from my reading area to release whatever it is, and I go back to what I'm thinking.
Okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out 5 cards.
Okay.
Okay. And again, this is just no spread, because all the cards that I'm laying out are going to be related to the question. And actually, that's something that I do in general, regardless of what I'm reading, what kind of cards I'm reading. I always, because sometimes it's hard to figure out what the card meanings are, because you're thinking about all sorts of things.
Right.
So it's really important to be like, when you're reading a card, to be like, what am I asking? Because that card is talking specifically about what I'm asking. It's not talking about something related to it.
Right.
It's talking about what I'm asking.
Right.
I also read reversals, and that's just because I'm more of a tarot reader, and so I'm just used to reading reversals. You don't have to use reversals. Another thing that I also do, and again, this comes from me reading a lot of different types of cards, is to notice patterns that you see throughout the card. So I'm not combining the cards together and reading them together. I'm just noticing that, okay, maybe there's a lot of red in all the cards, for example, or, maybe there's like a bunch of snakes, like this card is a snake or this card is a snake or something like that. I pull that information because that's kind of like screaming at you, like, okay, why do all these cards kind of have the same kind of symbolism going on in them? Another thing that I really like about oracle cards is it actually tells you kind of a little hint as to what the card might be.
Right.
All right, so I have my 5 cards out. I have Maximus. I think that's Panacea.
Mm-hmm.
Vertigo, Oblivion, and Phenomenon. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And remember my theme is
Confidence.
And so Maximus says, how can you feed others when your own table is empty? Okay. Now, if you feel like using the book, that's perfectly fine. I try not to use the book, so I'm just going to go off of my initial reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at this card, the first thing that I think of is because when you think of confidence has a lot to do with other people.
Right.
Right? Because you're trying to portray something to the outside world,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can't have confidence if there are other issues underneath that are lacking. Okay. So this to me is indicating that there's other things besides confidence that have to be focused on. You just go with I just go with my first
Mm-hmm.
gut reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You can always read the book and see what the author has to say. But I think it's important to always make note that when you do readings, there's no right and wrong. The author has their own interpretation of the card, and you will have your own interpretation of the card.
Exactly.
So there's going to be times you're going to read the book and you're going to be like, I just don't feel that.
Exactly.
And you don't go with it. You go with what you think. So maybe with these other cards, we can kind of figure out what else might actually be the problem. Mm-hmm. Because if there's something else going on that you're lacking, right? That's the underlying issue. It's not actually the confidence issue. So the second card is Panacea. And this says there is a solution to every problem. So this is a really good card because this means that it's probably something that's really fixable, right? It's saying that there's a solution to this. And the fact that it's overstating it means that it's probably something that's very, very simple. Something that maybe it's like staring you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
The next card is Vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, whatever you choose will be correct. Again, really good card to come after this card, because this is kind of indicating that you're on the right path, right? Mm-hmm. That maybe you even know what what you need to be doing. Mm-hmm. And there's a key on it too. So whenever I see keys, I kind of it makes me think of Lenormand, which is another thing that I read, which is another card. And the key to me always kind of represents that this is the most important thing to focus on, or you kind of already have the answer.
And in Oracle, not to interject, the key represents the fact you know the knowledge,
right? You
have the power. You have to be willing to unlock it,
right?
So,
and then we have our only reversed card, and this is Oblivion, and I'm gonna turn it up so I can read it, and it says, "Open your arms." So the fact to me that this is reversed means that this is where the issue really is, because when in tarot, whenever you have a reversed card, it means that there's some sort of blockage where you can't get past it. And so this is kind of saying that you're closed off, right? Because if the upright card is saying that you have open arms, right? This is saying that you are not being open and vulnerable, letting people in. You're not being accepting. You're very, very closed off. Okay. So this is kind of an answer to the first question, which is you're focused so much on confidence, but this is where you really should be focusing on, is learning how to open up to others and accept others, and just to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And then the last card is Phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And it says, be still and listen to the spirits. Ooh. So, and again, if I was reading for a client, this would be something I would probably ask whether, what religion they are, or if they have had any dreams or any kind of encounters. Mm-hmm. Because this is kind of more of a mystical card. Mm-hmm. And depending upon what they say, will kind of skew where I go with this. So, if they're having some sort of spiritual thing, maybe they're seeing ghosts, or maybe someone died recently or something like that, I would go more on that route and I would focus on that. If they're somebody who doesn't really believe in that stuff and they're more practical, I would probably go more towards the dream aspect of it. But to me, this is indicating that there is something, I'll use the word unconscious because that's kind of an overlapping, whether you're spiritual or not, that there's something that's going on that's hidden, because the unconscious is always, it's there, it's what's driving you, but you don't see it.
Right.
So whether it is a guardian angel or a spirit or a dream or just your own ego, your hidden ego within you, it's saying that you need to be listening to that inner voice, that you know what's there in the unconscious, even though it's not apparent.
Right.
And it's almost like you're in denial about what's going on in the unconscious. And so this is saying that you have to face it. You have to listen to it. You have to stare at yourself in the mirror, right? So with these two cards together, it's almost kind of saying that there's something that they're scared to face. They're afraid. They're obviously afraid to be vulnerable. And then there's also something that's hidden from them that they're in denial about, that they don't want to admit to themselves. Like if you're staring yourself in the mirror, there's just something that they're having a hard time accepting. And that's the real issue. It's not that they lack confidence. It's that they have this problem that they need to address. They have to pull that out of themselves and accept that and let other people see that and be vulnerable. So that's what I get out of the cards. Another added thing, like I said, is you can look at the pictures and the colors and all of that. If you're a new card reader, I recommend getting a journal and then writing out all of the patterns that you see. These particular ones, there's not too much similarities going on with them. And the colors are, there's not like a lot of one particular color or whatever. But what you would do is you would, I'm trying to look at this picture so I can see it. So that one's got like flowers and stuff on it.
But her back is turned.
Yeah. And you could do facings and stuff, which is another common thing we do in tarot. So like the woman that's in Oblivion is facing phenomenon, which I think we kind of addressed because, like I said, these two cards are kind of working together. So she's kind of looking at this, and this is like looking at you, which where it's like, come on now, you've got to face this, right? We talked already about the key and that symbolism.
But this card gets me.
Now, when I see this card, I think of this. To me, this is an extension, like these are her feet. So, and again, that's just me just randomly, like, whatever comes to mind, whether it's right or wrong, what the book says it's just whatever you think comes to mind, that's what you should write down in your journal. That, I would make a note that, to me, I feel like these are her feet. And her feet are bound.
But it's bound. One's bound by a rope, and the other one's bound by and it's not actually bound. It's just got a snake going up it.
It's got a snake, right?
Yeah.
And I don't see any other snakes.
Nope.
But I still would connect these two cards together. So I would write down that, this card and this card go together, and maybe like what's going on in the card. So, later on I might think of something, And the same thing with these two cards. She's looking at the Oblivion woman's looking at the Phenomenon card, and then the Phenomenon card is looking at you. And then the other thing that kind of strikes me about this is this first card is very, very different from the other cards. There's almost a more modern look to it, where these cards are more like more fantastical or whimsical, right? But this is very like, there's a table, there's like electric light. It just looks more realistic,
Right.
And these cards are just kind of like something out of a fantasy novel, right? So again, that would be something that you would want to take note of. And just something that comes to me is this card is very different from the other cards when I was talking about each card through, right? Which is, the first card was, how can you feed others when your own table is empty, right? This is that whole like, you're focusing on the wrong problem here. You can't be confident, right, in front of others until you actually solve the problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, to me, it seems like this card is different than the other cards, because it's almost like this is actually what's going on and this is just what you think is going on.
To me, this represents the actual question.
Right.
Where this is telling you the steps that
Correct.
you need to get your answer to this question.
Right. Right.
When in detail, it's these two that are actually answering the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, oracle cards like to take you on a journey. More so than Lenormand or tarot. Tarot, I mean, you have the suits. They all have their baseline. And then by the energy that's being read with them can change the story. And then
Right.
Lenormand has its own way of being read.
And Lenormand, you need all the other cards. Lenormand is all about connection.
Right.
Reading one card or two cards is usually, you're going to get very little information.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing you can do too is, you know, if you lay these cards out and you really have no clue, then ask somebody what their opinion is.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's that whole being objective thing.
Right.
With cards, you know, you're doing a reading for yourself. If this is a reading for yourself, obviously I wasn't doing a reading for myself, but if you are doing a reading for yourself, sometimes you're going to look at it and you're just going to be like, oh, I really want it to be that. But, you know, you just have to ask somebody, even if it's somebody who doesn't read cards, just ask them to look at the cards and be like, what does this make you think of?
Right.
Or ask us.
Yeah. You can do that too.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, and thank you, Jen, that was lovely. I will say, though, there's only been one real...
I don't know, it's just a piece of paper, I don't need it. But
Yeah, one real type of thing that I made up, and I call it the Christmas tree.
well, that sounds fun.
So, but I call it a Christmas tree because this is in shape of a tree, a Christmas tree, but it's to it's to help someone over a period of time slowly build up whatever it is that they're working on doing. And I have not done it in years, but I'm not going to do it today. But that's the longest one. You know, you started with the one. That is that
Right.
first card represents that person. The next two cards represents the past, like the very past. And the second card in the top lane represents right before them asking the question. And then everything from that down to the trunk. The trunk is the finale. It tells them, you know, what they need to do or what it was. It ties it all up in a perfect little bow of what they need to do to get to wherever it is they want from the top question. But it goes through a period because it's a period of time. It's not something, because see, with oracle cards, you can't ask it what day, what month, you know, what year. You have to coax it out of it.
Right.
Because it just won't tell you, you know. So I give them, well, this could be anywhere between now and you'll know, like by doing whatever. And I tell people, look, this came up. You know, you wanted to know about this, but this came up. This is a warning. Keep an eye out for that. And I give them a printout of whatever I've worked on and say, keep this for your records, but keep an eye out. And if we wanted to base it like on a 2 week or 1 week or a month type thing, keep a journal every day for whatever time frame that we thought that you wanted to work on, or like if it's a project or whatever. I said, and then each card will help you get to there, but keep a daily notation before you go to bed every night of what all transpired to that day. Because if there's warning cards, and I'm telling you what these warning cards are, then it will help trigger what in your head, oh, this must be what this is reference to. Oh, I'm glad I didn't do that day. Or, oh, I did that. I wonder how this is going to turn out, you know, and then shoot me a message. But like I said, I haven't done it in years. Matter of fact, I probably haven't done it in about 10 years.
Wow.
So
you're going to do it now?
I don't know if I want to do that now. It will take forever. It takes me like almost 30 minutes to do the whole reading.
So then what are you going to do?
I don't know. See, I have, that was my big one. I have the one a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so one card, you just want to know, like, how's my day going to go? Or I have this going on in my head, why, or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then that's the one card. And then I have the 3 cards. And then there's the 5 cards. But I also have done 7 cards. And that's a week.
So are you doing just a week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yep. Okay. So, like, say tomorrow is my Monday.
So are you going to do a reading for yourself?
I'm going to try to do a reading for myself.
Okay.
I'm not very good at doing a reading for myself because I'm like, oh, no, I don't know. No, that is not going to work. It's not going to work because I don't have, like, I'm like, no, there's no way. That's not me.
Well, I'm here.
I know you're
I'll be like, that's totally you.
So, and I do not read inverted cards because to me, oracle cards are God's word or the universe's word, and they're meant to be positive. But as Jen expressed, she's also a tarot reader. She has a different compass guiding her. And so she has that ability to read an inverted card and in an oracle sense and still make it work where it would I get bad juju and I'm like no okay, I'm reshuffling and doing it again, make sure, and I go through and make sure every card is in the right direction because I don't want to bring bad juju. And but that's me. Everybody's different. Jen is a fantastic tarot reader. She does have her own website, so you should pop over there and check out her stuff. I don't have a website for my stuff, but I do have a Facebook page with my magical name. And I am going back to do readings again. So, wow. Okay. So, Monday, which is tomorrow, evidently the universe is going to send me some type of inspiration, or when I start, which I have been feeling churning around me because I also watch angel numbers and stuff, and 1111, 111, 333, 222 keep popping up, so I know they're around me and I know they're guiding me and everything. But so inspiration is probably going to be my main focus on, so I'll probably be like designing a plan on what the plan of action of what I need to take next week with everything I need to do. So it looks like that I'm going to be very busy, so it's going to be brainstorming. I'm going to be busy as a bee. But so then on Tuesday, it looks like that probably while I sleep, I will be receiving more messages, probably more encouragement, and I will receive more messages throughout the day from the angels with my numbers and probably friends. But on here, you see the moon behind a female, and she's drinking from what looks like a teacup. And there is a lot of swirling going on, and the moon is illuminating her. So this is night. This is considered dream time. This is this is stuff in the making. It's stuff being sent. So who knows? Maybe I'll have a nice cup of relaxation tea before I go to sleep.
You know what it makes me think of? You might get a message from me and Kim. Maybe she'll reach out to you about the 3 of Cups group.
Maybe.
Maybe that's what the
And
receiving is. You never know.
But, receiving.
Yeah.
And like I said, I might get messages from my friends too. And there is a cup there, and I am 1 cup of 3 cups. So.
Yeah, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, we're trying to create a vocal group here. It's kind of it's called the 3 of Cups, but we're just trying to get it started.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's dragging its feet. So, but, I have 2 good friends in that, one being Jen. And then we have our friend Kimmy, who's actually been on one of our episodes with us. But there's a lot of messaging, a lot of stuff circulating either from the cup or from a dream coming into this portal. And that's what I call this area, is a portal, because from here down is where I start. It thrives, and my eardrums will, feel like they're beeping and I get ringing in my ear when I'm getting messages. So, and it's both ears, not just one. So that'll be good. So maybe, the support of, hey, we're here, what you been doing today? I think I'll come over today. Or, how's this going? How's that going? That's good, because we all need people to be there to support us in some way or fashion, whether it's show up in person, phone call, text, whatever, just making a presence. So, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I guess I should say what the numbers are too. So Monday's card is a 3, which is my number. 3 is one of my lucky numbers. So Monday's going to be a good day for me. Tuesday's card, the receiving card, getting messages from the angels, my dreams, my friends, whatnot, plus whatever else. I actually think I got a package coming in that's going to help me with some things. It's a 27, which is a 9, which is also another lucky number for me. However, my life path is an 8, and Wednesday's card is a 26, and that's an 8. So it says, relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. And in this, there's a woman who is standing on a tree stump, and she's being illuminated by light sent from the universe or the heavens. And she's looking upward. So it's telling me that how bad that day may be for me to not lose focus. It's just a hump in the road.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday. It might be hump day, positive day for some people, but there's a bump in my road, a bump on my path, and I should not let it stop me. That I need to keep looking towards the light, that I need to keep looking towards my goal and get what I need to get done by the end of that week. Because I will be giving myself a goal for that week. And my goal is to have at least everything out of my office and reorganized. Thursdays is also at 8. And it says, what is already with you? And it's a pair of hands, and there's butterflies coming from that hands. So I'm going to go through a process. So whatever that was telling me to keep focusing, this is to also trip me up, but it's also going to be when I break out of my cocoon and step into another section of myself. So I'm ascending. Mm-hmm. So I already have what I need with me, not to be afraid. And then number 10, this is the one that freaks me out because it's the one that's got flies and stuff. And it's one of the most darkest cards that you can get in this deck. So this is actually letting go people that hold you down. Letting go people who hold you back. I don't know how many more people have to let go because I already let so many go already. I don't know if this is going to be the last day I go see a friend of mine who has a Christmas present that I need to pick up. Scary. And it's a 1. Mm-hmm. So it's taking me back to day 1 with them. Mm-hmm. or it's taking me to the day after saying goodbye. Because it's a one card. It's very important for my life. That's the first step into a life.
Mm-hmm.
So that card scared me the most,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
no one wants to say goodbye. No one wants to let go.
Right.
But you have to let go of dead weight. You have to let go of what's holding you back. You have to let go of those who do not support you or think of you in the way they used to. That their whole process of how they saw you changed.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't serve a purpose for either one of you.
Right.
Unless that person's trying to hold something over you. And that I do know she's not doing. So, and then there's Friday. And 3 and a 9. 12, that's 3. That's a good card. Free from judgment and free to love.
Woo!
Woohoo! So hopefully my parents aren't bitching at me that day because I'm making so much noise. Music's going on in my office. My dad's probably ready to kill me. But no, this is Saturday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yes, Saturday. Oh, maybe he will be up and about. But yeah, I'm probably doing what I love, finishing up what I love. Hopefully somewhere during this week I've gone to the gym because I need it. But this here is a 1. Collaborative dreaming. And there is actually looks like 4 faces there.
Mm-hmm.
But evidently this one's dreaming from the heart, this one's dreaming from the mind. These two are sleeping. Because I don't see any dreaming, but they're also the other way. This could be a reflection of that, but this one's not this one because this one's on its side. But anyway, people that I evidently am working with, we're collaborating on something in dreams. Maybe we're getting messages in dreams.
Maybe you're sharing dreams,
or
like
maybe
together, like dreams, like goals.
Yeah, maybe. There's something within the dream realm with people that are close to me that we're dreaming or thinking while we're sleeping of the same type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually kind of interesting, and that's on a Sunday. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoy this new focused way of doing things for us, because I think it's going to help us too.
Did you want to share your Yelena information, and I'll share my website?
You can find me on IG at Yelena.
Do you want to spell it?
YELENA_the_wise. For the Facebook, Yelena the Wise. So, but anyway, so you want to tell them yours?
I mean, you can find me everywhere. Like on all the social media, it's all the same. That's just music and mystery. And then my website is www.musicandmystery.net.
Yep. Like I said, you should go check her out. She's got a lot of cool decks she works with. And she's very good, very incisive. So she'll do you good. She'll give you a good reading.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you very much. Until next time, please stay safe. Please stay healthy. And until the next time, I bid you adieu and brightest blessings.
Blessed be. Bye, everyone.
Bye. And if you would like to contact us, you may do so at our email, eclecticsoulpodcast@gmail.com. Our Instagram account is Eclectic Soul Podcast. Our Facebook is eclecticsoul.org. Our YouTube is Eclectic Soul, and our website is eclecticsoul.org. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Blessed be.